Hey everybody, it's Christian Buck, performance and executive coach and author of The Sport of School. Today in the Sport of School Academy, we are going to talk about the next level that we want to figure out for our student athletes, or have them figure out, more importantly, what they need to do in order to improve their grades. And so far we've talked about the 5 different types of student athlete and how knowing each one will help you improve, help you know what to do to improve grades. And second, last time we talked about understanding consequences on your grades today so that we can know about tomorrow. If you want to learn more about this, you can always read about it in my book, The Sport of School. And so today, what we're going to talk about is the idea of recognizing lifetime goals. And so one of the things that I found out over the last, over the first 4 or 5 years of working with student athletes is what they didn't really understand why to do school, why to get good grades. And that wasn't really part of it. Most of the time, what happens is student athletes just get grades. And then they figure it out by senior year, where do they fit? And so instead of that way, we want to think about, okay, well, what do you want to do with your life? You know, what is the plan? It doesn't mean what industry or career that you want, but just a simple conversation of what would you like? And, you know, when we talk about the lifetime goals, we're just thinking about vision. And this is very important for the spectator, if we're going to talk about that. Even the workhorse and the rookie could possibly use these as well. But we want to start talking about, you know, what's the point? Because a lot of times what we hear from our student athletes is, you know, why do I have to do this? And what I tell them is, look, you're never going to have to know what sine, cosine, and tangent is once you leave high school and college, for the most part. But understanding that math is a way to, it's a language to solve problems, then we can say, okay, well, I want to be someone who solves problems. And so if I'm going to be successful in life, I recognize that solving problems is going to be a valuable thing. So when we talk about this, we want to say, okay, you know, by the time you're 30, let's say they want to be in business. By the time you're 30, what do you want to be worth? And I've had some interesting answers. And, you know, one of my clients said, well, I want a house in Colorado and I want one in Switzerland. And I said, well, that's great. What is that worth? And so it doesn't matter what it happens to be, but it's just an idea of, okay, what's the vision for your life? How do you see it? Where do you see it going? And what are the techniques and skills that you need and the drive that you need in order to make those lifetime goals happen? And so it starts to create a vision for themselves. And that's the key. It's not the vision that we want, it's what they want. Where do you see yourself in 15 years? And I know that seems a little crazy, and it's not like something we have to set in stone, but it's just a conversation that's interesting, because the key to all of this and why this works is if we say, okay, you want to be wherever you're going to be by the time you're 30. Well, it seems as though you would need to have a good job by the time you come out of school. And if you want to have a good job coming out of school, it would be helpful to go to the best school that you can. And if that's the case, why not study tonight in order to make the rest of the dominoes fall? So it gives them help understanding that the things that they do, homework, quizzes, labs, presentations, papers, tests, are all part of this long-term process. And if they, you know, one of the really interesting things about is that if they come up with an answer that you did not expect, it's an interesting conversation to have with those student athletes, because it's something you never would have thought of. So the next level after understanding consequences is talk about the lifetime goals. Why do this? What's the point? And start to get into those conversations, because if they can start to visualize what they want to do as their own plan, something for themselves, they can start doing the work on an everyday basis. You know, what happens is, you know, you're in 6th grade, you're in 7th grade, you're in 8th grade, and then you get into high school, and no one really tells them, like, it really matters now. And if we can start to get to the point where they understand that it's theirs, that they, for in sixth and seventh grade, they were, going through the process of, eat your P's and do your homework and make your bed. And now it starts to change as they individualize. So if we can talk to them about their lifetime goals and why the value of doing well is so important, then they can start to, work on their own, and what I call an autopilot, where we don't have to push them anymore, but they can do it on their own. So first thing is understanding consequences. Secondly is recognizing lifetime goals. We will keep going through the Sport School Academy as we talk about all this, but right now, that's where we're at. That's the number 2. And if you have, if you know anyone that would be interested, please share it. I really appreciate it. Hope that helps. I hope everyone stays safe.